Hi, good morning, everyone. A warm welcome to our hot pepper production information session today. My name is Jamila Francis, Manager for Customer Care here at the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries. And with me today are other members of the ministry's team, and I would just like to allow them to introduce themselves. Miss Clark. We're not hearing you.
Good morning, everyone. Are you hearing me now? Good morning, everyone.
Mr. Clark,
Good morning,
customer
Miss
service
Francis.
branch. Okay, thank you, Miss Clark. Is Mr. Wisdom on? Okay. Mr. Badaloo will be introducing you later, but any of the team members from the agriculture services section that is on, you can kindly introduce yourselves.
Good morning, Ryan Maga here, Leading Development and Logistics Officer at ASU.
Morning, everyone. Sheridan Wisdom, Director, Agricultural Services.
Morning, everyone. Tayan Kushan here, Director of Market Research.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Jatana Williams Campbell, Agricultural Policy Monitoring and Evaluation Analyst.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Ashley Brown, Customer Care Officer, Ministry Customer Service Branch.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Krishna Badaloo, Director of Agribusiness, Market Distribution and Logistics. I will be your presenter today on the hot pepper production.
Okay, thank you so much, Agriculture Services section team. Okay, so as we get in today, attendees, we're going to just have a short introduction. We're going to allow our presenter to present the information, and afterwards, we'll allow for questions and answers. And then we'll also ask you to just stay on a little bit after so we can get feedback on the event and also give you an opportunity for you to join our customer service mailing list so you can get information on other sessions that will be coming up and any other information as it relates to the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries and Mining. So today we're going to be talking about hot pepper, the hot topic. It has a high annual demand to supply international and local markets. However, there is a shortfall in supply, which presents an opportunity for current producers to expand and potential investors to grab a slice of the pie. A priority crop under the ministry's new face of food and Production Incentive Program, it is a key element in Caribbean cuisine and specifically in Jamaican cuisine. The Jamaican hot pepper is known for its intense heat and unique flavor profile, making it a desirable ingredient in culinary preparations. Hot peppers come in various colors depending on the variety and stage of maturity, and characteristics is also used to enhance the visual appeal of dishes. Jamaica's environment is suitable for cultivation of hot peppers, as the crop tends to grow well in warm conditions, making it an excellent choice for home garden as well as commercial production. Today, our presenter will share with you how you can get involved, the market opportunities, situational analysis of the current state of hot pepper production, information on international trade, and the variety of value-added products. On that note, I would introduce to you our presenter, Mr. Krishna Badaloo, Director of Agribusiness, Market Distribution, and Logistics in the Agricultural Services section under the Ministry's Agricultural Marketing Information Incentives branch. He has been a part of the ministry team since 2007, and his main duties entail the assessment of value chain for various commodities, coordination and monitoring of resources and initiatives aimed at agribusiness and rural development, as well as continuous assessments for areas of improvement within the agricultural sector. He holds a master's degree in agribusiness and a Bachelor of Science in Management of Business and Economics. Therefore, he has the combination of experience and knowledge to facilitate this presentation today. So on that note, kindly welcome Mr. Badaloo to go ahead with the information.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Ms. Francis. And given the time, we will try to present a bit speedily because we have more slides than planned for. However, we will not compromise thoroughness for expediency. So the topic here, and first of all, I would like to say thanks to the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Derman Spence, for giving me the opportunity to speak on this hot topic. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of hot pepper production in Jamaica, the value chain is so wide and vast that today's presentation will focus on the marketing aspects. So we have a little outline here. So we'll provide some background information, how to get started. We will spend some time on the value chain approach so as to ensure that you maximize your return from your investment and that you're joining the value chain at the right area or right space to make maximum returns. We will look at the local landscape in terms of a situational analysis, look at global trends, the opportunities within the sector, the industry, challenges, and major recommendations. So before we get into the findings, just a little background. The data has been presented or have been presented by actual research and existing secondary data. We would have interacted with JAPA members and other stakeholders within the agro-processing sectors. So from the exercise, most of the processed pepper is consumed locally, approximately 53%. Currently, Jamaica is only supplying 40% of international demand, mainly in the US, UK, and Canada diaspora. The international trade data would have, we get the international trade data from the Statistical Institute of Jamaica. Production price and post-harvest, we get those from the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, JAMIS, and RADA. So getting started. When it comes to pepper, you have a lot of ups and downs, so you have to dream the dream and work the work. By that, we mean you have to have the right capacity building. If you're a banker per se, you have no knowledge of agribusiness, no knowledge of pepper, you still need to attend some training and build some amount of capacity and also understand the empowerment, how to be empowered. Also, you need to do market research to assess the value chain for leveraging points and secure commitments. So when you assess your value chain through thorough market research, you will know where your investment will yield your highest return rather than just planting. Normally, everyone wants to join the pepper value chain at the planting stage, but if you assess the value chain, you might be able to add more value at a different stage and earn a higher rate of return. Now, to do that, according to Keith Wood for 2014, you should always approach agriculture as a business. Why? It is different from other businesses. We all know that in the manufacturing sector, you can guarantee output, supplies. You can double your supply of bread production by, for example, doubling your staff, doubling your shift. With agriculture, you must wait to wait. So you must be mindful of long investment cycles. You must be aware of the long production cycles. So if you're doing beef, you know you won't have any income until 2.5, 3 years. Whereas if you're doing cash crops, within 6 months, you would have had some returns. So always approach it as a business. Now, to make it profitable and sustainable, we recommend the marketing mix. So we want to go back to the 5 P's: the product, the place, the price, promotion, and people. Once you do that and you know your radar, then it is easy to distribute the goods once you produce it. Next thing, you have to assess the landscape. Look for the linkages that you can form. It is easier to operate within groups than on your own. For example, cooperatives. However, traditional cooperatives here in Jamaica have their weaknesses of being on trust. The level of trust is not desirable, so we are proposing to have a new form of cooperatives, be it at the input side or the distribution, to benefit from economies of scale. And we are saying the investor-owned cooperative is what we are proposing, where the investors, the farmers, the stakeholders, they occupy the main position within the organization and they make the decision. Get it started, you also must be aware of the chain actors. So if you want to form forward linkages or backward linkages, you will be fully aware. You must ensure that you have adequate cash flow, which means while the pepper crop is in growing stage, you have enough funds to pay labor charges, the crop care charges before you have a return. Oftentimes we start the business and we ignore cash flow, and when we need fertilizer or we are hit upon by a sudden flood of rain and it damages the drain, the roads, you do not have cash flow to restore normalcy. So we are saying to get started, you must have a secure cash flow to bounce back from any eventualities that you didn't plan for. Also, getting started, you must be equipped with the good agricultural practices, here known as GAP. So you must inform on the best practices. You do that by doing soil tests. By doing soil tests, you will be aware of what exists in your soil and what your soil is in need of to ensure optimum performance of your peppers, especially the Scotch bonnet. You would like to have a nutrient budget. Nutrient budget is really an instrument that dispels nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus, those that are leaching into the streams, you do not want to apply more than a certain amount per year per hectare. So with, for example, an overseer budget, so in New Zealand and Australia, they have what is called the overseer budget. That nutrient budget assesses the need of the soil, and based on the reading, you will apply what is needed in the correct and precise quantity. Here in Jamaica, we broadcast, so we're not sure if we are under fertilizing or we are over fertilizing. So with a nutrient budget, we could actually save by using less if we are using too much, or increase if we are using too less to ensure we have increased productivity from the crop. Insect pest management. Here again, sustainability. The ministry is big on sustainability, and with insect pest management, you would have some amount of performance, good performance, without using excessive chemical for crop care. Waste disposal. You don't want your rotten fruits or your undesirable produce to be lingering around the farm. For example, if you're a tomato farm and you have waste, you don't want to have your rotten tomatoes around the existing field. That is the easiest way to breed disease. Likewise with pepper. If you have spoilage, please dispose the specimen. If it is the fruit, the root, or the whole tree, the entire tree, please dispose properly so as not to encourage the prevalence and incidence of outbreaks. Also, land preparation. Different crop will require different type of land preparation. With hot pepper, ideally we want sandy loam to encourage drainage and reduce the possibility of fungal damage, which affects the plant in rainy season. So with proper land preparation and suitable land amendments, for example, adding mulch, you can have a better performing crop. A major challenge within the sector is your source of seeds and seedlings, known as your planting material. Recently, we went on a tour in Western Jamaica, and we found out that the supplier of seeds and seedlings we distribute to several other parishes. Hanover, the farmers in Hanover, they don't have a problem with crop damage, seed viability, or loss of seedlings. However, in other parts, in neighboring parishes such as Westmoreland, farmers were getting reduced yield, their seedlings were dying, their viability was low. Upon further research and interaction, we found out that the farmers who had less than desirable seed viability, they store their seeds in their vehicle, which is a bad practice. So the heat will damage the seeds. The farmers in Hanover, they are aware of best practices and they store their seeds in refrigerator. So that is why their viability is higher and their performance is much better than the area studied in Westmoreland. So please know where you're getting the seeds from, the quality of your seedlings, and also you must store them in conducive environment to ensure maximum seed viability, preferably 80% and more. Inputs, you don't want to wait until you need them, then you search for them. You want to procure and store in recommended environment to maintain viability of seed and timing of establishment. Oftentimes you wait until the season comes up before you start looking for your inputs. Sometimes if the inputs are short, your timing may be off, and that might show off your profitability because you may end up reaping in the rainy season when you should have been reaping in the dry season. So timing is very important. To make use of that, it is advisable to have procurement of the essential ingredients or inputs to start the season on time. Also, another weakness of the sector is pickers. You have to ensure that workers are available in your vicinity. They're accessible, they are affordable. Because currently pickers are short. Because Jamaica is a small island developing state, located in the hurricane belt, then the farmers in recent times have faced devastation and it is difficult for them to bounce back on their own. Oftentimes the Ministry of Agriculture and other agencies has to come in and provide assistance. Now, farmers can benefit from the Grace Kennedy Weather Protect Insurance, also the Sagicor Agri-Care Plan for farmers and fisher folk. Now, the value chain approach, which we mentioned earlier, is just giving a synopsis to ensure stakeholders understand. So the value chain refers to the various activities from creating the product or performing as a service. So it is from inception through to waste disposal. So the various stages would include sourcing the inputs, growing, harvesting, processing, distributing, consuming, and waste disposal. So you must be aware of the various stages and see where you can enter the value chain and add the most value. It is not always growing peppers. You might have a niche for processing and distribution, developing your own brand. Organizations assess their own value chains to upgrade or improve. So you look for leveraging points. The purpose of assessing the value chain is to ensure that you have a competitive advantage in the marketplace before you commit your investment expenditure. You do this by reducing your costs, so making more activity within the chain more efficient and less expensive. Also, you can have product differentiation by investing more time and resources into activities such as R&D. You might have a new design or sustainability of farming practice or marketing, whatever that can help your product stand out. We will look at a situational analysis. So this is just a synopsis of the local hot pepper production scheme in Jamaica. Here, fresh hot pepper productivity. So the data set ranges over 5 years, from 2018 to 2022. And we look at the averages for experience. Here, the average production for over the time period is 18,584.13 metric ton, ranging from a low of almost 16,000 metric ton in 2018 to a high of just over 20,000 metric ton in 2022. This is indicative of increased production. However, if you look at the productivity, while production has gone up in 2022, if you look at the productivity, the last column to the right, we have 14.08, you realize that we were getting less to the hectare than, say, 2019 when we were getting 14.93 metric ton to the hectare. So this is indicative that production increase is as a result of increased hectare as seen here, area reaped, and not productivity. We here at the ministry, we would want to increase production ideally through increased productivity or getting more from the same piece of land. Over the same period, we look at the average price per ton. Should be 1,000 kg rather than kg here, sorry. Sorry for that. So over the 5-year period, the average value for a ton of pepper was $387,238. Sorry, $387,238 per metric ton. Now, if you look at the local landscape by parish for the same period, if you look at the running total, the 5-year running total, St. Elizabeth is on top as the breadbasket with over 14,000 metric ton. However, if you look at St. Anne 2022 production, you realize St. Anne has become the new #1 parish with hot pepper production. So if you look at the landscape under year 2022, you realize parishes such as St. Thomas, these are closing in Clarendon, these are closing in on St. Elizabeth, notably St. Anne. This we understand. We have factories around there, a number of jerk huts, other fast food chains. A lot of night activities are in full swing on the North Coast. So we realize here at the ministry that most of the farming of hot pepper is now on the North Coast, closer to the fast food chains and also the hotel restaurants. This graph here, this diagram was done by investigation, research from interacting with stakeholders and in-house information. And when you look at the production, the average production over the 5-year period, which is 18,584.1 metric ton, and you look at the quantities that go through the various distribution channels, when you apply the post-harvest loss of 6%, 10%, 5%, 2%, that is simple 23%. However, when you apply those weights to the quantities that go through the various channels, you will get 1,266.7 metric ton in post-harvest loss. Now, if you look at that total post-harvest loss quantity as are in relation to total production of 18,584 metric ton, you realize that post-harvest loss for pepper is just below 7% at 6.8. So while the post-harvest loss per running percentage along the value chain is 23%, that is just adding the percentages in simple form. However, when you apply them as weights, you add them up and do it as a percentage of total production, pepper production, you realize that relative post-harvest loss quantity is just 6.8%. However, in simple terms, we would normally say 23%. But if you use the quantity, if you use the weighted average, post-harvest loss for pepper is really 6.8%. Now we will move into the international trade. So fresh hot pepper export by quantity, metric ton, and value. So for the same 5-year period, the average quantity exported would have been 161 metric ton. And the Jamaican dollar is just out over 104 million. The US dollar is over 726,000. So that is just a synopsis of the earning potential or the earning history for the pepper export. Also, you want to look at how much peppers have been consumed locally. So we will look at production, imports, minus exports, and we end up with what is used locally. So if you notice, local consumption has been increasing from over 16,000 metric ton to over 20,000 metric ton within the 5-year period, which is indicative of increased local consumption. Also, export has been increasing. One thing of a good sign is that import is relatively stable. So if assumed consumption is increasing and export is increasing, import is constant, it augurs well for farmers to enter the production and export of pepper and pepper products. Now we will look into some of the marketing opportunities. But before we get into the actual value, just provide some background. The value chain concept, which was proposed or has been proposed by Professor Michael Porter in 1985, he said to gain a competitive advantage, you need to study the value chain and ensure where you enter. So you could read up some more on the Porter's 5 points. You have to look at the both existing and emerging industries, because with pepper, the traditional product is pepper sauce, but you find emerging products now, like pepper-infused jam. Persons are proposing pepper powder. You might hear of a pepper water, I'm not sure. So you have to do proper market research to know where to invest along the chain. You could opt to enter at the input stage by owning seed or a nursery, plant nursery to sell just seedlings and nursery, you don't have to plant them. You can grow it. You also could harvest, where you have harvest and storage facility. You could distribute or you could provide consumables in the form of jerk chicken, where you use specialized pepper, Scotch bonnet. You could decide how to join the sector, be it on your own or partnership or through cooperatives. But you must ensure to have secured land tenureship. Because pepper, once you start pepper, you will need to put in some infrastructure which you will need to use more than 1 year, for example, your irrigation. So you wouldn't want to lease land for less than 3 to 5 years because you will have to install infrastructure which you will need time to recuperate your initial investment. So based on the research and out of Japa, we found out that 40% of international demand is met by local processors. And if you look here, the local processors, they are just making use of 1,065 metric tons, while they have a total demand of 2,662.5 metric tons. So the unmet demand is approximately 1,600 metric tons. Now we are saying that given that our average yield is constant at 14.15 metric tons to the hectare, we will require 112.94 hectares or 279.08 acres to fulfill the needs of the processors to meet their international demand. So this is a good sign for prospective investors, local investors who want to expand. The market opportunities exist, and we are saying that with confidence. To boost that, this is an order sheet of one company in Jamaica. So these are their demand and their supply situation. So the unmet demand, if you realize, here, the total is over 1,300 metric ton, which is a lot. Market trends. Recently, more consumers are demanding more heterogeneous production systems. Some want organic pepper, some want straight pepper in bottle, some want pepper infused stuff, some want crushed pepper, pepper oil, pepper jelly. So what we realize with the pepper value chain and the spectrum of possible products, people are willing to experiment and consume pepper products. It is growing. Consumers are also interested in traceability. They want to know the farm or the farming community in which the pepper and other local ingredients are grown. They want to know the treatment of farmers. Are the farmers being remunerated fairly? So consumers are really interested in how we treat the farmers. You want to know if the production system provides a competitive advantage when you reach an international stage. Persons want more high-value goods, and by that we mean other than fresh pepper. So they want the pepper in a state that is of a high value with a longer shelf life. Brand Jamaica is unique in the value proposition with attractive international appeal. Should help your business benefit from that international demand if you so choose to invest. So the market opportunities, and these are new products. Traditionally, we would export pepper mash or pepper sauce, but what we found out now, persons have more interest in pepper powder. These have longer shelf life. You use the requisite amount that you need each time. When you cut a fresh pepper, if you need a half, then you will have to either store the next half, which will likely spoil, or you throw it away. With pepper powder, you use the requisite amount each time, so you reduce waste. With pepper oil, this is even more consistent. You have a unique, consistent flavor that you can keep in and eat on your food or whatever snacks you're having. So I have tried pepper oil out of Africa, and it is a uniform and tastes very, very well. So if we could have a Scotch bonnet pepper oil, those of us who are listening and can add value, please do some experiment on the pepper oil. We are cognizant of the fact that persons have been experimenting with Scotch bonnet pepper powder, but that is work in progress. Also, the pepper flakes is around, but I think based on the international demand, there is still untapped demand for pepper flakes. And the three new products or emerging products would have been the powder, the oil, and the flakes. The oil being the least popular. We have recently had some success stories out of Jamaica. I'm not sure how many of us are aware of Scotch Boys. That's a pepper brand out of Western Jamaica. They have just recently secured a deal with Kmart in the US to supply their distribution outlets with those 5 variations of Scotch Boys hot pepper. Also, during COVID, another company was experiencing or experimenting with Scotch bonnet pepper powder. We were aware of the experiment. We have been following up, but the conclusion or the final output is yet to reach the ministry. We will follow in short order. Another success story is the Cam jar. The ministry worked closely with this company. This is a pepper infused or a coffee infused jelly with a pepper base. So you see pepper exporting in various formats. Now they are mixing pepper with coffee. This company has just secured a contract with Bravo Supermarket in the US, just less than a month. And the ministry would have played, the ministry and other agencies, MIG would have assisted with this company's expansion and market reach, both in the US, and if you look above, you would see bigger brand out of Jamaica. So Kamgar on the second top shelf, and the top shelf would be really the top brand, Pika Pepper. So if Kamgar within 1 month can find its space on the same shelf with Pika Pepper, it augurs well for pepper products and other pepper interests who want to add value. Because persons are not just wanting pepper, they want variation, they want an experience. And I can tell you the Kamgar coffee infused jelly with a pepper flavor is a really, really good testament to the fact that consumers want pepper-based products and not straight pepper. The challenges here in Jamaica, we have price fluctuations, and this is understandable. Whenever you have gluts or overproduction, the price tends to be low. We also have inconsistency in yield and product quality. This is due to weather conditions and also crop care by the farmers. There are variations in variety. Productivity is unstable for various reasons in various areas, so it is not uniform. Some place it is the soil, other place it is the management practice, other place it is the finance. So you have to assess your value chain to see your weakness and see how best you can leverage to increase your productivity. Also, some farmers have been reporting that the extended drought from 2023 has still have latent or residual impact on their pepper performance. Farmers are undercapitalized. They do not have enough funds to, say, maintain a crop care program to maintain productivity. So what we recommend is that for farmers to ensure they have cash flow to keep the performance of the crop optimal. Farmers shortcut agronomic practices such as nutrition program resulting in poor yield. Again, they might have limited funds or no cash flow. So rather than getting the right fertilizer, they will probably use substitutes such as animal manure, which may not be ideal. Also, the residual impact of COVID-19 on logistics and packaging material. During COVID, we had hot pepper sauce, but due to the logistics issues with shipment and other vessels, Jamaica was not able to import packaging glass bottles. And a lot of the pepper was not sold and had to be put in storage. So those are some of the challenges. And on the ground, the main challenge is productivity. But with productivity, there are different contributing factors, such as inadequate access to improved varieties and other technology. So based on our research, farmers, they want improved varieties, both in Scotch bonnet and the West Indian red. They are saying that the yield or the performance of the pepper is declining. So we would like you to re-engage Borders and Mount Pelier to see how best you can access quality planted material to restore the once high performance of West Indian red and Scotch bonnet. Also, low access to credit. Access to credit here is low, not because it is not available, but I think farmers are reluctant to go to the bank. So I think we need a better education drive to inform them. Oftentimes when they hear about the bank credit, they are thinking about their land as collateral, which few have, and they don't want to lose it, so they prefer to do their substandard practice and satisfy. We are saying the banks could approach the farmers and provide them with some secure secure products to help them increase their productivity. The high labor costs and substandard practices. Reaping pepper and working in the pepper field is labor intensive. Though it is no secret that here in Jamaica, younger set of persons are not willing to work in the field. And that is a common call right now across the country. So labor charges, we have few persons, especially the younger persons who want to work. They can get work in the call centers and the hotel industry, which will pay a bit more than the farming. Now, if they can do that, why should they go on a farm, pick peppers, when they can go to the hotel, get tips, get free food? So you have to look at all these issues and ensure that you have labor and you can afford the charges. Also, the labor that is available to you, you would want them to have training so they do not come with substandard practices. So the hard trust training, graduates from Case and Ebony Park. I think persons investing should pursue the requisite skills and knowledgeable managers, farm workers from these training institutions. Also, insufficient monitoring and response to pests and diseases. Quite often, farmers wait until they see a symptom. What we say, farmers need to take a proactive approach by scouting, setting up pheromone trap where possible, and other barrier crop to sort of block the entrance of insects. So if you use a barrier crop such as corn, any insect that would approach the pepper, you would first have a chance to see them on the corn before they infest the pepper field. But that takes rigid scouting. Inadequate skills and entrepreneurship among farmers. Again, we need our farmers to see it as a business and not just to plant pepper and go to the market on a weekly basis. So they must approach it. They must go to training, get the business skills, cultural practice skills to improve their entrepreneurship or their operation as a business. And, just some recommendations, main ones, you have others. So you want to use technology to improve yields, for example, greenhouse or vertical farming. Most of our pepper is in oak field. We're not sure of the results with hot pepper in greenhouse. We want stakeholders should revisit engaging cooperatives, especially investor-owned cooperatives, to benefit from economies of scale, being it at the input level or the output level. Because sometimes cooperatives, you can have a marketing cooperative where you own the truck, but on that truck, it will probably take 4 or 5 farmers produce to fill that truck. Based on the carbon mileage and the carbon footprint of transport, you would ideally want to transport 1 truckload per trip, so you do not waste space for the same carbon being expelled in the atmosphere. We want to go back to farmer field schools where the best practices are observed. Farmer field school is really a plot of land, usually monitored by RADA in each parish, preferably in the east, St. Thomas. You would have a plot of land where all pepper farmers come and volunteer their services. On site, the extension officer will lead the proceedings and delegate responsibilities to other farmers. However, all the farmers on spot or at that training will learn all the aspects of the activities for that day and take back that knowledge to their local farm. And we have seen where St. Thomas has benefited from this practice. Other parishes have done it. We have not surveyed all of them, but we can tell you, safely say that in St. Thomas, through the Farmer Field School program, pepper production has been expanding and improving. And we would like to ask the other parishes to set up Farmer Field School for pepper and other commodities, so as to spread the knowledge to increase productivity. Also, we would want to borders to develop higher yielding varieties that are drought resistant, improve seed quality for Scotch bonnet pepper. Conclusion, Jamaica has a international appeal already through brand recognition. Everyone knows Usain Bolt, Bob Marley, so they know Jamaica. So if we can get the pepper with that same little flag, then it is easily identifiable on the international scene. Scotch bonnet has a unique flavor, which is desirable by almost all pepper users. Farmer Field School could revive productivity in other areas of the country and not just St. Thomas. For sustainability, there's a need for best practices. So we want true to type planting material, nutrient budget, insect pest management for sustainability, and the reduction in the use of chemical so as to protect the environment. Jamaica has an agroecological environment that has the potential to increase yield with good agricultural practice, given the high level of unmet demand for hot peppers, especially Scotch bonnet. More hotel rooms are indicative of increased demand for hot pepper byproducts. This is so the hotel rooms will accommodate the tourists who will go out in the districts and buy food from the fast food joints. So with more tourists, you have more fast food joints, increased demand for hot pepper. Once they are buying more jerk, more pepper is being used, more pepper is being sold. Also, the research stations, based on our low and consistent undesirable yield, Borders, Montpellier, Top Mountain, and others could partner to address the cause of the stable and low yield and try to amend it so as to increase the yield. The government has been playing its part through providing an enabling environment, mainly through extension services. Farmers with through extension services, farmers will benefit from market intelligence. So the marketing officer will tell them where the risks, the likely markets are for what price. You have the agronomist who will tell them what type of additive to use to enhance their pepper production and other best practices. Thank you. That's my presentation. So over to you, Chair, Ms. Francis.
Okay, I want to just thank Mr. Badaloo for all of that information that he has shared with us today. We're going to now allow for persons who may have questions to go ahead. So just use the raise hand feature and we'll get through to everyone. Also, I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize to persons who had issues logging on. We're very sorry about that. We'll do our best to share. We're recording the meeting, so we'll do our best to share that link with you so you can get a chance to watch if you missed anything. All right, so we're going to start our question and answer section now. I see Mr. Ryan McCall, but I think he's a ministry staff. So we're going to go to Miss Michelle McCullough. You can unmute and go ahead. Michelle McCullough, are you able to unmute? Sorry, the feature to enable the mic is being done now, so sorry for that delay. Ms. Clark, once it's enabled, you can let us know. Okay, Michelle McCullough, you can go ahead. Michelle McCullough, your mic. You're supposed to be able to use your mic now, so could you go ahead if you have a question? All right, we're going to move on to Mr. Michael Williams.
Good morning. Thanks for acknowledging me. I
Hello?
have yeah, I'm here. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you. You can go ahead.
Right. Very good presentation, Mr. Badaloo. I have a series of questions. One, the residual post-harvest loss quality of approximately 7%. Is that an excellent one? It seems so by me. You say we are just able to supply 40% of the market. I want you to speak on the initiative being considered by your ministry along with rather to ensure that the market demand is satisfied. And you speak of cooperatives, but cooperatives in Jamaica, agricultural cooperatives has not worked. What are the plan, the programs that you are planning to initiate to ensure that cooperatives as it relates to agriculture succeed? And since cost of credit and availability of credit to support, since pepper production seems so very lucrative, could you speak to what initiative you're considering to ensure that the People's Cooperative Bank and other lending institutions consider lowering the cost of credit to potential farmers who want to venture into pepper production? And the final question, to improve the quality, what budgetary support are you giving for research and development to institutions such as Case and Bodle's Research?
Thank you, Mr. Williamson, for that set of questions. I might have to ask you to repeat some of them, but I was making my notes. So the first one is post-harvest loss, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's the one.
What was your specific question about the 7%? It is 6.
It seems 6.8 seem very good. What?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, man, seem very good. Are you sharing these initiatives with farmers so that they can employ what you would have recommended to them, ensure that they maintain the 6.8%?
I would like to think so, but the reception sometimes is not in line. So now I will ask my team lead, Mr. Wisdom, to assist me answering some of these questions, especially the unmet demand. As we have been supplying 40% of international demand, so he will speak on the initiatives by the government to expand to fulfill the outstanding 60%. So he will speak to things such as the agro parks and other initiatives, the loans. So Mr. Wisdom, over to you on the international sir.
All right, thank you for that, Mr. Badaloo. Thank you for that question, Mr. Williams. Well, questions. First, that is the first point. As you mentioned, the 6.8 is fairly low and it is fairly good. It is something that the ministry, rather than ensure that they have those training sessions with farmers to improve their productivity as well as their overall agronomic and harvesting and handling practices. In terms of post-harvest, we have a specialist APRADA who actually meets with these farmers in addition to the extension officers to ensure that the practices along the value chain are best practices. As Mr. Badaloo rightfully said, the uptake of these best practices aren't what we want at all times. However, it's a slow process, but it is moving. So we're actually hoping to be lower than 6.8 on a consistent basis. You asked what the ministry is doing as a second part to your first question. And the third question, as it stands right now, the ministry has under the production incentive program, PIP. Funds have been earmarked for the last 3 years for that. So we have seedlings being produced, sold, as well as distributed to farmers. And also funds are being earmarked towards to increase or intensify the production of seeds for farmers. We know that not all farmers want to buy seedlings, so the ministry is taking the approach of going public and private, whereas we produce the seeds as best as possible and we partner with private stakeholders to ensure that those seeds are out there, as well as there are private persons who have nurses as well. So the ministry is taking the approach to ensure that one, we not only have increased production of seeds and seedlings, but we have increased seed varieties and stronger genotypes. You mentioned the respective schools, Case and etc. But the ministry wants to start from research and development branch, that is Bodle's own pillar top one, as mentioned, and then they will actually reach out to the educational institutions to collaborate on that matter. So it is something that is in transit and you will hear more about in short order. The second question asked about the financing. The ministry and other agencies and other ministries are actually working on that right now. As it stands right now, the DBJ, they actually have a package that farmers can access through what they call AFIs or MFIs, microfinance institutions, affiliated financial institutions. So there are products out there. In some cases, the take-up is not as high as Mr. Badaloo indicated, based on experiences in the past with the PC Bank, where persons would take loans with little or no collateral, then those loans aren't repaid, and then we see an organization going under. So these respective financial institutions should have put things in place to protect their interests. But the ministry is consistently and effectively communicating with them to see how best we can have some of these requirements not being as stringent, so we can have uptake. Also, Mr. Badaloo mentioned the agri-care in terms of the life insurance and health insurance for farmers, as well as the insurance. Those are things that would have been pioneered by the ministry through public and private partnership, and we want to ensure that more persons know about them so they can mitigate their risk in relation to agriculture, but in this forum. answer all the questions.
All right, I have one final question.
Hold on, Mr. Williamson. You asked about
Yes, sir.
cooperatives.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah.
So let us just finish with them before you get to your other questions. Traditionally, here in Jamaica, we lack trust among ourselves. So we are reluctant to form input cooperatives or marketing cooperatives. What we are saying, we need a new approach. And what the ministry is proposing is investor-owned cooperative. Meaning, if you are not a farmer, you should not be in a leadership role. You should not be the manager. I think farmers have been empowered enough to manage themselves, to trust themselves. So rather than to get a popular voice to be your leader who is not really a farmer, we are saying we need to move from that to do what New Zealand is doing, whereas the farmers are now the head of the organization and they make the day-to-day decisions. So cooperatives is a good way to reduce costs and improve efficiency. But a new approach is needed and we are recommending investor-owned cooperative. We're talking about budgetary supplement, so our subvention from the government. Remember now, the government can provide technical services at borders, so we would have ongoing research. However, further research is needed and will have to be funded by other stakeholders, such as the input suppliers, who the farmers will go to for these inputs to realize the expected benefits. So, in terms of funding, government is doing their best with the little fund. Remember, the landscape is increasing, so each sector will have to settle for less. So we want input suppliers and other farmers through Farmer Field School to collaborate, cooperate, and come up with new ways of doing things to increase productivity. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thanks much. I have one final question. The market demand of 40%, based on your projections, and when can we see this market demand move from 40, market satisfaction move from 40 to 80%? And what the percentage share of the returns are you projecting that the primary producers will receive?
Okay, it will take time, so I will ask Mr. Krishna to shed some light, but it will definitely take time because remember, we have the sector is plagued now with what is called Jerry curl disease, other hindrance to productivity. So sometimes we make 2 steps forward and then we make 3 steps backward based on drought and other undesired. But from a marketing standpoint, Mr. Cruikshank will shed some light as to the timeline in which we can increase supply to the overseas, to the international market. Mr. Cruikshank.
Thank you, Mr. Badaloo. So, Michael, it's a very difficult question to respond to. Moving from 40 to 80 is going to take a holistic effort, not just from the Ministry of Agriculture, but also from farmers. You know, we need to work together. As it is, we're at 40 now. We want to move to 80, but I think let's take it in increments. Let's say 10% in 2 years. Let's set a target for 10% in 2 years and take it from there. Mr. Rosen would have spoke about the initiatives that the ministry is doing on their part and our side to increase the production and productivity. But it's not only up to the ministry, it's also up to the farmers. You know, farming is a business and we have to take it seriously. You are making an investment, so guide that investment in whatever means possible. So I will say, set a target, 2 years, let's see what we can achieve in 2 years and take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cruikshank. Mr. Williamson, are you satisfied with that response? Mr. Cruikshank is saying we can't move from 40 to 80 in overnight. So you're just set like a 10% increment per 2 years or 5%. So within another 10 years, we should, or another 8 years, we should be able to reach there. But it is not an overnight thing because we have challenges as we go along. So sometimes you make 2 steps forward and as I said, you come back. So It's an ongoing thing. Holistic approach is needed. But as long as we are committed, we can safely say there is light at the end of the tunnel because of the recent success stories and the increased interest by overseas buyers. Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Any other question?
Okay, so in the interest of time and to allow other participants to ask questions, who would like to move on to the person that's Jay Ming. I'm just going to ask persons to probably keep it to 2 questions so that other persons will get a chance to ask their question, all right? So Jay Ming, you may go ahead.
It's okay. I was just asking about the link because I was unable to log in, so I don't really have a question. I kind of joined late, per se.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the next person, Sarita.
Yes, you got it right, Sarita Simpson. Good morning,
All right.
everyone. Well presented information, Mr. Badaloo, and I have a few questions, but I'm going to try to condense them. Please bear in mind that not everybody who is getting into the pepper venture has agricultural knowledge or any agricultural expertise. It's very popular now, so a lot of people are jumping into farming. So one of the questions I'm asking you pertains to GAP, good agricultural practices. You said that that was one of the ways we could stave off production losses. The average person may not be au fait with those measures. How can this information be accessed? And so that's one. How can this information as it relates to GAP be accessed? And who will monitor to ensure that farmers are carrying out these practices efficiently? Because you may be doing the practices, but who guarantees that you're doing them the right way? So that's one. And my other question pertains to, well, it's not really a question, it's a suggestion. You said that in St. Thomas, you had remarkable successes with the Farmer Field School initiative. So why doesn't the ministry roll this out as a pilot in all the parishes? And if not all the parishes, why not take it on a county basis? Those are my 2 questions.
Okay, remind me your name, please.
I'm Sarita Simpson.
Okay, Ms. Sarita, thanks for your questions. As it relates to good agricultural practices, remember Jamaica is diverse even though small. So different parts of the area will require a different set of best practices. So because Mr. Wisdom has been the operations manager for some time, he has an understanding of the nuances and the variations. So Mr. Wisdom will respond to the good agricultural practices, and I will give my 2 cents on the Farmer Field School. So Mr. Wisdom.
All right, thank you for that question, Ms. Sarita. Regarding your first question, you mentioned the gap. That is something that the ministry, through its agencies, has been actively pursuing for the past 3 to 5 years. We have RADA was pioneering that charge and also AIC in the agri-parks. So what happens is that, I can speak for AIC, in the agri-parks, what happens is that they actually have continuous training sessions with farmers, new and existing, to ensure that the old practices, the new practices, the best practices all are being maintained and farmers are aware of what needs to be done. RADA also has that as a section of their curriculum in the Farmer Field School and training that they have with farmers. And they have recently launched an app that has this information to be disseminated to all interested persons. So if you're wondering how the information is out there, as a farmer, it is readily available to you through the training from RADA, AIC, and other agencies. Even our plant quarantine produce inspection branch does do some form of training. But as a new person, you want to get that information, I would suggest 2 things. You download the RADA app, try to get that information out there. And secondly, you go into the nearest RADA office to speak to an officer and get that information. If you live close to an agri-park, you can also speak to the agri-park manager, and they will be able to provide that information to you. Additionally, in terms of international standards for the GAP, the information is also online. So you can get the information in terms of the international standards, but we do know and we are aware that sometimes standards are tailored to a particular scenario. So if you want it more detailed or more personal, then you can go the other route of speaking to a RADA officer or other persons. If you want additional information, you can actually send us an email and we'll send that information to you, or you can send it to RADA and we'll get that information to you as well as the technical support from RADA in the parish that you're located. I'll pass back over to Mr. Badaloo.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I am an agriculture practitioner, but the reason I asked that question is because I go around, well, I have farmers or friends who are farmers, and many of them are still doing the lay practices.
Yes.
So I'm wondering how effective are we in actually passing out this information and actually monitoring to see that these practices are being carried out?
Again, very good point, but as was mentioned, especially in agriculture, the uptake of these practices and information is very slow. So we do understand that persons will continue to do it. However, we have seen an increase in the uptake and the utilization of the global gap. So you say you're a friend that are practitioners and you know farmers, but this information is being provided to them and it is growing. It's not growing at the rate that we want in terms of the uptake, but the officers are out there from the ministry and all agencies, so we expect or anticipate that within the next 5 years, more and more persons will be in line. I want to also mention that most of the RADA offices, if not all, they're ISO certified. So that's a part of their mandate to ensure that all farmers are global gap compliant.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wisdom. No, just to add to that, why it has worked in some parts, I think you alluded to that. In St. Thomas, you would have the farmers in agro-parks, close proximity, because they have agro-parks in St. Thomas. So the pepper farmers would be in contiguous communities. Whereas in other areas, the pepper farmers are distributed and disaggregated. So there are other challenges where farmer field school prevalence is hindered by. So what we could do is have more than one farmer field school within parishes or region, as you said, but how would they access it? What we would prefer is to have the farmer field school in areas such as the agri-parks where you have a concentration of farmers, because remember, this is daily work. If you are to have one per county, transportation, unless you will do it by Zoom, but I think face-to-face is better. So I think probably you could get 10 farmers and have several half-acre plots. And then again, not everywhere RADA has lands where pepper farmers are. So I think the best persons to initiate the farmer field school is the farmers. So the farmers can identify the land and ask RADA to spearhead the farmer field school. But you must have a concentration of farmers within proximity. Thank you. You're next.
Thank you, Mr. Badaloo.
I hope you have answered your 2 questions.
Mr. Badaloo, I would really prefer for the ministry to spearhead these undertakings so that there is more structure. Because to throw it out on farmers for them to come together and collaborate with RADA, chances are it would not have the kind of structure and the kind of longevity and the kind of appeal that we would want it to have. So rolling out a set structure with a curriculum or whatever guidelines, that would be better for the ministry to undertake something like that. I know you guys are thinly stretched, but if pepper is so important, this is something that I think investment should be pumped into. Thank you.
Thank you. I will advance your concern. I myself support that. May I ask where in Jamaica is your location? If you don't mind giving us your parish, you could give us your region.
I'm in Trelawney and St. Anne, 2 parishes.
Hello,
Trelawney and St. Anne.
Right there is the fastest growing pepper region. So
I know, but as I said to you, I realized that only today when you showed those figures. But on the ground with the spoilage and other challenges that we face sometimes on the ground, that does not seem apparent. But I thank you for that information because it is encouraging.
Yes, remember we have to speak generally, and not everywhere will face the same problems because you sound like an efficient farmer, so you might not have huge losses. But in other areas, if your peppers are, for example, spoiling and you dispose them close to your pepper field, then those peppers might generate other, what you call it, pathogens that can destroy your farm. So the safest way to dispose waste pepper is further away from your field. And we have seen this with other crops such as onion. So I would ask you to liaise with your neighboring RAD office, St. Anne, see what they are doing, and try to partner with them because the government alone cannot do it. You have to meet us halfway. So you are in Trelawney, St. Anne is very close.
Trelawney and St. Anne.
Right. Both parishes are doing well now with pepper. St. Anne has just surpassed St. Elizabeth. So the government doesn't have any money. So as a private individual, I would ask you to invest in a trip to the RADA office in St. Anne, initiate a dialogue, and try to see if you can have a common farmer field school for all pepper farmers in your region.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Yes, okay, so we have a couple of questions left. So the last person for questions will be Robin. So we're just going to get through these persons. So our next person is Mr. Kurt Stout. Can you go ahead, please?
Sure. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, morning. So I represent Raised Beds Farms, and we're young farmers, about 2 years in, and we know we do a bunch of products, sweet pepper, Scotch bonnet heavily, and we're now at the point where our first Scotch bonnet field is productive. So I joined late. I was one of those persons who had issues joining. Do you have a contact sheet or something you can share with me with who these, when I joined, you had said 40% of demand is being met. Do you have a sheet or contact sheet that can be shared that gives me the numbers to call? Again, I'm an active farmer, have product right now to sell, and I'd love to get into this market.
Well, you could take my number right now.
Hold on, give me 1 quick minute. Let me just put it in another.
Somebody will put my number in the chat and my address, and you.
Well, actually, I couldn't find the chat option, so you can give me a number right now. I'm ready.
It will be in the chat anyways. And
how do I access the chat? I was looking for the chat, but I couldn't the option.
Okay, take this email address. It will be easier to respond and better for recording. So Krishna, my name. So Krishna, Krishna dot Badaloo, Badaloo at moa.gov.jm.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, sir. And you get an email from me. That was really my question. My name is Kurt. Raised Beds Farms is the business, the farms that we operate. We do sweet pepper, Scotch bonnet, and some other cash crops.
But your name, please.
My name is Kurt Stout.
Oh, Stout.
K-U-R-T, Stout. Like Dragon Stout. Kurt Stout, yes.
Okay. All right, Mr. Stout. Thank you. I'm looking forward to your email.
No problem.
All right, thank you, Mr. Stout. So we're moving on to the next person, which is Michelle McCullough. You may go ahead. Hi, Miss McCullough. Miss McCullough, we're not hearing you. All right, so in the interest of time, we're going to move on to the next person, which is Karine Lawrence.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am very new to this, very new as in not even really started as yet. I set up a greenhouse in my backyard, and I think maybe I got some of the answer from the questions that Sarita asked, but just to make sure, I'm going to ask again. How do I access extension services and other advice, in particular advice that might relate to other areas of the value chain like processing? Um, I also was curious about whether or not it is possible to kind of do a train the trainer thing with the farmer field school, and if peppers that are going to spoil, if they can be added to like a compost instead of trying to dispose them elsewhere. That's it.
You said about backyard gardening and you want extension. You want to access extension services, right?
Yes,
Where are you located, may I ask?
I'm in Clarendon.
Okay. Are you aware of the Denby RADA office?
I know it is there, yes.
So I would ask you to contact the RADA office there.
Yes.
You following me? As it
Yes,
relates
I am.
to this backyard garden and extension service, because you sound like you have a small garden. Remember now, the extension officers, they would have had their routine. So if you can meet one on spot, take a couple pictures of your backyard, find out which officer controls or peruse your area, as each area should have a designated extension officer. So you go through the head office.
I'm also closer to Bordals. I'm in Clarendon, but I'm closer to Bordals. Is that also an option?
Yes, but find out where your extension office is. Which RADA office are you closest to? The one in Denby?
That's the only one I know of in the area.
Right,
In
I think it is
Clarendon.
closer.
Yeah.
So you could go to Denby. I would recommend Denby because the St. Catherine office is a bit far from Borders. And they would have similar information for you. So go to that office, ask them for pamphlets, ask them for brochures on good agricultural practice, best practice. Get a number for your extension officer, have them know you so that when you call, they can identify a name with a face. But we like your initiative, and the information is there. Also, it is online.
Okay. On your website?
No, you said something about farmer field school. What was that question?
The discussion about the farmer field school that you have in St. Thomas.
Right.
I was just wondering if it isn't possible for you to, in areas that may be more remote, to do a kind of train the trainer activity. So if the ministry does not have the resources at this time to set up these field schools across the island or across a county, would you be able to train some trainers who can take it back to the communities and do training with persons in the communities?
Okay, I understand the question, but I don't think it is a trainer as such, because it is an ongoing thing. You learn every day. So what I would implore you to do is to get the better farmers leading these things in your local area. The pepper is under the PIP program, so I will have to see what support the government has that can benefit you. Oftentimes, the government doesn't have any land, a common piece of land. So if the farmers in your local can find, say, a common plot of land, you guys can spearhead it and invite the extension officers. You following me? Ms. Lawrence?
Okay.
So you can
Mr.
identify a half
Badaloo.
of land and say, RADA, work with your RADA office. This is the land the farmers are willing to allocate to the farmer field school. No, rather could probably help you with other infrastructure and the involvement, engagement of the different stakeholders that could lead the different aspects of your farming to ensure that you have increased production and less damages.
All right, thank you, Mr. Badaloo, and thank you, Karine. So I had said before that the last question that we'll be able to take today will be from Robin. For the other persons, we would like to ask you to just you can send your questions to customer service at moa.gov.jm. We were sharing the QR code for our mailing list. You can send that up that we can share information from the presentation with you as well. So the next person will be John McFarlane, then we're gonna have Keisha, Bachelor, and then Robin. And then other persons are just gonna ask you to kindly send us an email. So Mr. John McFarlane, you may go ahead.
Mr. McFarlane?
Oh, sorry. So we didn't hear from Mr. McFarlane, so we're going to move on to the next person, which is Keisha Bachelor. You may go ahead.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we're hearing you. Yes, we're hearing you.
Okay, I want to first commend the panel. They did a very good presentation. Now, and all the questions asked were very relevant, and I'm very interested. So I'm a Jamaican living overseas. I'm in the US, and I'm seeking to invest back in Jamaica. I'd like to find out, how do I become a part of what's happening here? Mr. Krishna, is there some guidance that you could offer to someone like myself? I took your email, so I don't know if I should maybe send you something and then you could respond. You're nodding your head. Yes.
Are you finished, Ms. Bachelor? Yes. If you have my email, you could send me your interest and the stage at which you are, because I'm not sure if you have started or done.
I have not started. I just have money.
You just have money. Well, when you have money, we have everything else. Just email me and we work it from there.
Right,
so I could assist you with land acquisition, secured markets, probably value addition. So the whole gamut. I could assist you in joining the pepper value chain wherever you see, wherever you like.
Yes.
So please follow up, and I'm looking forward to your email, Miss Bachelor.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bachelor. And for our last question today, Robin, you may go ahead.
All right, good morning. Sorry if it is that you hear a little noise in my background. I'm on the road, but my two questions. I started planting red peppers last year. No, it's the year before, and find it to be okay so far for the most part. I'm in St. Thomas. Question one, where is it that based on the information, because I came in late, but I got the sense from the information that pepper is doing well in St. Thomas for some areas. So I wanted to know where are those areas. I am currently in Golden Grove. And my second question is, could I get some understanding on the farm field school thing? Because I think one of the things was is that for persons in my area or my zone currently, they want to do peppers, but the challenge with having the knowledge based on failures from other persons. So I think this field school idea, if I get the clear understanding, might be of great assistance for the farmers in my zone, as well as myself.
Okay, Miss Robbie, thank you for that. I would ask you to make contact with Mr. Stevenson, your parish manager. See where he has this training session, our farmer field school. Quite likely you might be just close to one and not be aware, or he could arrange for one. But the main factor is, are there other farmers with your interest? Because it doesn't matter, it doesn't make sense to set up a field school for one farm, if you're following me.
Right.
So you have a concentration of, say, 4 or 5 farmers or more.
Right.
Right. So
well,
please,
we have more than that amount of persons, especially for the females, but you know, the information in regards to how to successfully get it done is one of their biggest challenges.
well, it is a process,
Why
and
it
the
is that
best place to
more
start with is
persons don't.
right. So the best place to start is with Mr. Stevenson at the head office. Hold on, Mr. Wisdom, who is quite familiar with pepper production and the farmer field school in St. Thomas. He will add some.
All right, quickly, Mr. Badaloo mentioned the recommendation to reach out to your RADA office, but given your suggestion, we'll also make contact with them as well on your behalf to see how best we can have a session planned. You said in the Bowling Grove extension area, Bowling Grove area, I believe that's more eastern, so that should fall under the Bath extension area. So I reach out to, exactly, so I reach out to the extension officer personally and also reach out to Mr. Stevenson, the acting parish manager in that regard, to see how best we can have a session organized.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
All right, thank you. Over to you, Ms. Francis.
All right, thank you, Ms. Robin. So I want to just thank everyone who was able to come on today. Before you go, we'd like you to give us feedback on this event. So, we can know what we can do to improve future events. So there's a QR code right now on the screen that you would be able to fill out that form. It's also placed in the question and answer section. You'll also see a link to sign up for our customer service mailing list that we can share information from this presentation with you, and also information on future sessions. We're going to also share the QR code for the mailing list. It's currently on the screen. And while you're taking that information, I'm just going to ask Mr. Sheridan Wisdom to close first.
All right, thank you for that, Ms. Francis. First, I want to thank everyone who participated today, and also I want to specifically thank the Customer Service Department for collaborating with us on this venture. We also want to thank our CTD, Ms. Michelle Parkins, our Principal Director, Mr. Michael Price, and also Mr. Andrea McLean for greenlighting this session. We are aware that we would have imparted a lot of knowledge to farmers and other stakeholders, and we're hopeful that it will be beneficial to all of you in your endeavors. It is our intention to have other sessions like this going forward, so we just ask that you join, even if the topic may not be one that is pertinent to you, but you may get other information there, and we ask that you also share this information with other persons so they can come on board as we try to boost our agricultural production and productivity. So thank you. We look forward to your feedback and enjoy your weekend. Please keep safe.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wisdom. And thank you, everyone. And just to detail Mr. Wisdom, want to thank all the departments of the ministry involved. And of course, we want to thank you, our customers or citizens who have been able to be a part of this session today. And we do hope to see you at our future session. So do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Same to you.